So this is part one of our Sur-Ron teardown video. Gonna go over the Sur-Ron in general as a motorcycle and talk a little bit about what makes it awesome. So right off the bat, you see those are actual motorcycle wheels. They are, you know, about 3 times as heavy as a bicycle wheel, but all that material makes them super durable for what the bike's going to be used for. Big 13 gauge spokes, decent rim, decent wheel build with good spoke tension. Big hydraulic brakes, moving up to the forks, either an RST or a fast-ace inverted fork. Moving up here, good frame bumpers to prevent damaging your fork tubes or your frame if you go over center on the steering. The key switch, it has a USB port, which is nice for charging a phone. Moving over to the battery, super convenient, easy to use battery removal. Pops open, you pull 2 plugs, 1 data plug and 1 power plug, and then the whole battery slides up the top, just like that. We'll go further into the battery later, but dropping it back in, same deal. Slots in, plugs go back in. These are all keyed so they don't come, or they don't go in the wrong way. Then clicks down and the battery is locked in place. And that locks, so no danger of the battery being stolen as long as you have the key. Very simple, very clean display here. Just gives you an odometer and miles an hour. That's all. The battery has its own internal display that shows state of charge and some bars for if you can't read the label. Moving back, the frame in general is high pressure die cast aluminum. The weld quality is very good. It looks like either a metallic flake or maybe even anodized coating on it. The build quality is excellent. All the parts fit really centered. None of the bolts are off center in their holes. All the external facing hardware is high quality stainless steel hardware, so it's not going to rust and look bad, or it's not going to have that zinc coating that'll peel off. Foot pegs on rear sets are adjustable front to rear a couple inches for larger or smaller riders, or for just a different riding field. Internal permanent magnet motor that's pretty decent quality. It's their own motor. It's not a rebrand of something else. And they've done a very good job with its mounting internally. It's a 2-stage reduction drive, so it's a primary 5mm Gates belt that works really well for being a high-speed, efficient drive. That moves across on a jack shaft that's concentric with the swing arm pivot, so there's no chain slop issues. You adjust it tight and it stays that way. The secondary drive here is a 420 chain, which is plenty burly for even higher powered electric vehicles. Don't have to run much bigger than 420 chain. So this is way overkill for the Sur-Ron, but you'll never break it. And then all the way in the back, you see the, yet again, that's a real motorcycle wheel, a real motorcycle tire. So just generally a very durable bike, and really well designed with lots of attention to detail on little things like the fork bumpers and the fact that the key switch is recessed so you can't damage it if you take the key out. The whole bike is in general really good. I'm gonna redo the end of that.
No, it's alright.
So the whole frame on the Sur-Ron is all tooled custom for them. The frame members themselves, like this is one part. This is a high pressure die cast aluminum structure. And so if you look at it from the backside, if you come over here and look in there, you can see it's all webbed out on the inside. So there are structural webbings in here, and they zigzag all around the inside of the frame to help reinforce it. So you get this nice smooth outer finish with all the structure internally. Very well done. The weld beads are very good quality. Very little variation in height and width. So their process control is really good as far as frame jigging and welding goes. The fit and finish on the parts is actually very reasonable. It's not that they didn't take a ton of time putting extra polish, and I mean, some of the seams are a little rough, but it's cost savings, and it helps make the thing inexpensive, which for what you get out of this bike, I don't know how they make it for that cheap. It's pretty freaking good. Looking at the rear suspension on the Sur-Ron, it's very well done. There's a nice long travel coilover shock that has a progressive rising rate linkage set, and the geometry on this looks really, really similar to KTM's small motorcycles. Their ProLink suspension, which arguably is some of the best in the industry. And so the fact that Sur-Ron tied into some really high-end motocross suspension geometry makes me feel really good about where they're headed with the rest of the frame. Throttle on the Sur-Ron is freaking awesome. So it's a traditional cable throttle, which they've had figured out for freaking 50 years. Rugged and dirt cheap. And that cable throttle goes down to a sealed Hall effect box. And so there's a little shaft seal down there. And it's got a nice wide radius so your cable's not going to fray. And that's it. So they took all the complexity and bulk and the sensitivity out of the handlebar, bought you more space on the handlebar cluster, and put all the complexity down here into a box where they had space so that they could actually seal it and make it rugged. And yeah, pair that with sealed connectors throughout. The entire wiring harness is all brand name sealed connectors. It's good stuff. I'm impressed. All of the wiring harness plugs are Pokeyoki, which means that there is a 4, there's a 3, there's a 6. There are no duplicate connectors, so no matter what, if it plugs in, it's plugged in correctly, which makes it really, really handy for doing maintenance. Another nice thing about it is the whole wiring harness. This has been unwrapped, but the whole wiring harness is wrapped in anti-chafe tape, which is a slippery, robust tape that you use to keep the wires from chafing on the frame. And not only that, but it has anti-chafe tape and is mounted with cable clamps like every 4 inches. So just a little further into the quality and the thoughtfulness that went into the build on this bike. So the controller on the Sur-Ron, yet again, getting more into the robust, weatherproof kind of automotive style of manufacturing and straying away from the e-bike style of manufacturing, where you have a high-pressure die-cast base plate that is Sur-Ron's. This is their controller. They had this made, or made it themselves. The output terminals, really big, burly bolt-down terminals, big internal wiring that's, although it's on top of the potting, the interconnects look like they've been potted just barely. The top half here actually had to be pried off because the potting bonds it on, so very little chance of having water ingress. And the connector up at the top is actually not a connector, it is a bulkhead seal. So this is all of the wires are poked through this bulkhead seal and then potted on the back side for just double protection against water ingress on the controller. Very nice stuff. As well as all of the ring terminals here are all O-ring sealed to the case. So yet again, just more robustness and high-end quality from Sur-Ron. Sur-Ron battery, besides being just a giant block here, is very, very well engineered. So this is a custom extrusion that was done by Sur-Ron, or at least contracted out. It's their own design, paired with injection molded end plates. The battery strap handle here is real thick nylon webbing. These are die-cast aluminum into the plastic, and on the back side of this there's a massive stainless steel spreader plate that ties into these 2 screws, so it is very securely mounted. You're not going to tear this strap off with repeated use. The other thing is that, yet again, more of those TE sealed connectors that are backfill potted or backshell potted into this top cap. The output connector is not sealed, but no water can ingress into the battery, which is really helpful. Under the end caps as well are big rubber O-rings that are soft and in their own recess, and so the case actually indexes very positively into this, so the O-ring can't escape out the sides, and that's on both the top and the bottom. Going into how the actual battery mounts, the base plate that's fixed to the bike, this is a die-cast aluminum part, the base plate that fits into the bike has keying features and positive tapers so that when it fits up, it doesn't it doesn't move. There's no chance for play. As long as it has positive downward pressure, which comes from the lid, it cannot move. The other thing is inside the bike, which they're taking out right now, but you can see the one in the back. There are spring tabs in here, and these tabs, as you insert the pack, flex, and they prevent the pack from rattling inside the bike. So that'll help it last much longer in, you know, the off-road environment that these will be put through. So, more awesome stuff about the Sur-Ron. So even on the Sur-Ron, even stuff as simple as just the headlight. This is one of a million different kinds of off-the-shelf Jeep slash 4x4 off-roader headlight, or not headlight, but auxiliary light. This casting and these diodes and the lens and stuff, this comes as a pre-assembled assembly from 100 different manufacturers. It's super cost effective on how much light output they make versus how much they cost. This is probably only a handful of dollars, but it provides rugged, high-end lighting for an electric motorcycle of this speed is freaking great. And it's another example of the really good cost-saving engineering that went into the Sur-Ron.
Custom mount there.
Yep. Yeah, custom mount to tie to the stem bracket there.
Here we go.
So, found an interesting box on the Sur-Ron. This guy, which when you shake it, you hear the rattle? I thought this was broken. I popped it open, and the only thing that's in here is a circuit board with a Hall effect sensor and a magnet on a weight. It looks like an automotive tilt switch, and so we did a test. We took the green Sur-Ron over there and flipped it on its side and turned the throttle, and lo and behold, it doesn't run. So it has a safety tilt switch, so if you dump the bike, it won't run off on you wide open when you go to pick it up by the throttle on accident, which is pretty freaking nice. So, the reason we had that Sur-Ron all pulled apart and into the guts of the thing was because we felt, after looking over the whole bike and riding them a bunch and beating the tar out of them, that there really was one important thing missing. The throttle response was just not all that great, and so we've put one of our ASI controllers on it, which, apologies for the bodge job there, but it has some very nice throttle response now, and we'll be doing some ride videos with it here in the very near future.
And the sprocket.
Oh yeah, that too. Something else we did, because the ASI controller has field weakening and bought us another 20% top speed, we were able to gear it down another 20%. We actually went a little bit further than that, and we've in-house laser cut this 60-tooth rear sprocket, which makes the Sur-Ron do all the wheelies, all the time.
All right.
So, yeah, ride videos coming here shortly.
Awesome. Thank you.